of course, teachers will work, and we do work a lot.
Much more than other countries. Yeah,
because
more
a lot
hours.
of people, in France, make jokes about teachers.
Now, there's a lot of criticism in the OECD report, but also in general on the French system. But what are the strengths of the French school, in your opinion, Juliette?
The strengths. So I believe we have a high standard of expectation, which is good too, but because we still believe in the use of acquiring good knowledge of our own culture and literature, history, philosophy. We talked about pupils getting philosophy classes, and I think it's a good thing. But you can't expect a whole class to read Stendhal, or it's even if just because it's a requirement. So the real question is, what do you do with it? What do you? I mean, the only option for me is to adjust to all kind of pupils, to make sure that everybody gets something out of cultural things that we want to teach. I don't believe in lectures anymore.
What do you mean by lectures? Just a professor in front of the pupils and blah, blah, blah? Okay.
And blah, blah. There's a lot of blah, blah in French schools.
And very little interaction, because if you open your mouth as a French pupil, then you're punished. Right?
Yes. That's how it works in some high school. But I believe it could, it can work for some pupils, but only the best will follow, and it doesn't work anymore in middle schools, in standard schools. So
so you mean that actually the system has failed in adapting to the world the way it is today, with both what is being studied and how it's actually being taught to the pupils,
which is why we're trying to reform the system, but we don't agree on the conditions. So.
What if you really want to make the system better? What should be changed tomorrow if you were the Minister of Education?
Wow. Well, maybe I think a key to that is the way we mark pupils. I don't believe in those. I think all participation should be more valued, like it is in the USA. Every teacher should try to, group work, with a lot of teamwork. I think is quite important too. So. Formative assessment instead of summative evaluation. I think the change will come. We are trying to use those kind of evaluation. Because I don't believe it's more effective to have marks from 1 to 20.
Yeah.
Does it?
There are many experts who say that marking isn't useful at all.
No. Yeah. Yes, sure. And I think we should also be more open-minded to new techniques, like using meditation, things that are being used in other countries, and just opening up to new ways of teaching with cognitive sciences and
And do you think that so we're talking about the system might not be ready for it. Are the French parents ready for this? What is your experience with when you are trying these new ideas and new techniques with your students? What is the reaction from the parents?
We don't get a lot of, they believe in the way we teach at the Légion, so they don't really question what we do. What I've seen from students is that sometimes they're just almost shocked, they're a bit surprised. They don't want things like the flipped classroom, for example. It is fun. but at first it is a bit confusing, and they're always asking like, will I get, my own mark, or will I get, what's that collective mark? They don't. So they need to trust you on that, and so you need to reassure them, explain the system. And,
so the pupils are actually more conservative than the teachers.
Exactly, and I think their parents are not that conservative, because usually when I meet the parents, they believe in it.
Yeah. So what went wrong with these kids?
They are the
we
ones.
We all know that children are conservative.
Well,
Probably
mine not.
so.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Juliette Buisson. You will stay a teacher for another 15 years, live through another 4 or 5 reforms, you think?
Well, I like my job, so
okay.
Yeah, and I don't know what else. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be in the Éducation nationale.
We'll invite you for next time there's a new round
New
of
reform. Yes. Okay.
We'll see where we
Thanks
are then.
a lot.
Thank you so much, Juliette, for coming.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Juliette.
Vous écoutez So French.
You are listening to So French.
And now it's time for our favorite white-collar criminal here in France, and there are many of them, Patrick Balkany.
Maybe the favorite one after all.
Yeah, because he's such a theatrical figure with outbursts of anger, and it's just it's like a character in a novel or in a bad movie. Well, the bad movie is now for him, Patrick Balkany. He has finally been convicted for fraud. We have been talking about him, the Balkanese, and his wife Isabelle previously, but now after a long court case, the first conviction is 4 years. And Patrick Balkany, who was that again, Sarah?
Well, he's a long-time mayor of Levallois-Perret, western suburb of Paris. Rich inhabitants, we should say. Wealthy suburb, but I mean a wealth that has also been built on massive debt.
Yeah.
Shouldn't forget. But over the years, Balkany has really made Levallois into their own little backyard. Maybe we should say
little Monaco, huh?
more or less.
Yeah,
very pretty place.
Yeah, it is very nice indeed.
But this has been done then, according now to courts here in France, by hiding several luxury residences and other assets, and avoiding paying some, and now listen, 4 million euros in taxes.
Yeah, and over a long period of time, and very on purpose. They really, it was like a system. They called it the Système Balkany as well, deliberately. Yes.
Well, yeah, using cash instead of going through normal bank or card payments, etc. So they were literally throwing cash around.
Yeah,
them.
and there's this story of Balkany going to a supermarket in a bathrobe dress, or like a peignoir, and he pays his groceries with
cash.
With cash, 500 euro notes, which are really rare and usually used by criminals because it's so easy to transport a lot of cash. 500 euro notes he was paying. I don't know what he bought in the local supermarket. So it was known for a while that this family really was not respecting all the rules.
Yeah, so his wife being then the deputy mayor of the town
Isabelle.
as well. Isabelle.
Yeah. She was also involved, and now they were both convicted last week, finally. Balkany got 4 years, and Isabelle got 3 years imprisonment. But that was not really, not shocked many people. A lot of people expected that they would be convicted. But the fact that shocked a lot of people was that the judge ordered the immediate arrests. And that meant that Balkany, as soon as the judge had given his sentence, was sent to the Santé prison, a very famous prison, actually not pretty far from the studio here. So he had to spend the night in jail immediately, and he was taken away from his beloved Isabelle.
And I mean, what can we say? That you described it as a massive low in French journalism, and maybe we can agree on that one, because it is true that the media reporting, especially when it comes to 24-hour news channels and the more sensationalist media, have been up in arms about the treatment of Balkany and describing in detail his first night in prison and then
and his
later
expressions on his face and on the face of Isabelle I think they even said that he caressed the face of Isabelle.
Well, it's his wife after all.
Yeah, it's his wife. Yeah, but
yeah, and then her first visit to the prison, because we should mention then that Isabelle, even though she was also convicted to prison term, she wasn't ordered to go straight to prison.
Yeah, so she was allowed to go back to Levallois-Perret.
Since she then has appealed her sentencing, it is suspended while awaiting the appeals trial, which will take place next year, beginning of next year. And maybe we should, because then there's another twist to this story, which is that even though, so she was convicted to 3 years in prison, 10 years of banned from keeping public office.
Yeah.
Who is now in charge of Levallois-Perret?
Well, this being France, it's Isabelle Balkany, because she's the deputy mayor. And because she has appealed, she just can continue. So she's replacing...
It is as if this judgment never happened.
It's incredible. And it's even worse because in March there are local elections in 2020. So if this appeal is still going on, both Patrick Balkany and Isabelle Balkany, they can be a candidate again. So they can be elected, even though they're convicted criminals of a very serious crime, of course. And you mentioned the media, but Europe 1, the radio station, they had an exclusive interview this week with Isabelle, who was actually all over the place after her first visit to her husband in prison. And she said, it felt like our first date, she said pathetically. So this is how a lot of French media are covering this story. But this is not the end, no? Even though they appealed for this
no, this is not the end, because there are more levels to this case. The second part of the trial will take place next month, this time regarding the corruption charges. And these charges are considered by the prosecutor as even more serious than the fraud charges. So the prosecutor has asked for 7-year prison term for Mr. Balkany. So not quite out of the woods yet.
And this will come on top of the 4 years already. So he may spend a very, very long time in prison. Of course, the couple has appealed. So that means it can drag on for many, many years. But at least for now, Patrick Balkany is in prison. What do the people in Levallois-Perret actually think of?
Well, I think that I saw some media reports saying that the Levallois is in shock. But I've spoken to a couple of people who are Levallois people living there, who lived there their whole life. And no, they're not shocked. They expected this. They've been knowing what's been going on in the city hall for decades. And they couldn't just wait to actually open their champagne bottles when the sentencing was announced. So I think that maybe the media drama surrounding this is not quite the whole truth regarding how the people in this town are actually seeing this the new house or the new place of stay for the town's mayor.
There was somebody who expressed his sympathy, though. There was the former president Nicolas Sarkozy, a childhood friend of Patrick Balkany, and he said that he had to support people who are in trouble. So he was, and he knows that probably he may join his childhood friend because he will be on the stand, for a couple of pretty serious cases.
More than a handful.
More than a handful. So maybe Sarkozy will see Balkany again in the Santé prison. But, one can hope. And that wraps up this edition of So French. We hope you have enjoyed it. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and also all the other podcast platforms. We're also on Instagram. Our account is @SoFrenchNews. Please follow us.
And if you like French music, check out our free playlist on Spotify, which we update regularly. Just search for So French Music or click the link on our website. And if you would like to contact us, please mail us on news@sofrench.news.
And you can also listen to us on air on World Radio Paris in the Paris region, but also at the Côte d'Azur in Monaco, Nice and Cannes every Saturday on 2:30 p.m. local time, and then rerun during the week.
We're back in 2 weeks with a new episode of So French.
We hope you'll join us then. Thanks for listening.
Au revoir.